CNN's Harry Enten breaks down Mike Johnson's chances of getting reelected speaker. Um, I'm not a fan of Mike Johnson. But he's not the worst. He's not the worst speaker we've ever had either. But if someone better comes, I would definitely be for them because Mike Johnson has done a lot of things in his tenure as speaker that I did not agree with, mainly the spending bill and stuff like that. So we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna play the clip. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get into this news. Now, this comes from the Daily Caller, and they report that CNN senior data reporter Harry Enten broke down House Speaker Mike Johnson's chances of getting reelected to hold the gavel in a Friday segment. The House is scheduled to vote on whether Johnson will remain in his position in the 119th Congress, where he holds the narrowest chance in over 100 years. Johnson will lose the speakership if two House Republicans, along with all Democrats, vote against him, or if one congressperson from his party votes in opposition while two others abstain, Hinton said. So let's just get to the clip here. Here we go.
And several more are not committing to Johnson. CNN senior data reporter Harry Enten is here on this third day of January. Walk us through the math.
I just want to note that my button on the top right here, the collar, I realized I had one button, one unbutton. I was able to get that second one button just in time.
I'm impressed because that button was saying hell no this morning.
That's exactly right. And we're going to say hell no a lot in this segment. Okay. So look, this is the simple math. We went through it yesterday. I feel like it's deja vu all over again when it comes to these speaker races. Look, this is the simple math, right? GOP reps can sink Johnson's speaker bid. In scenario one, if just two vote against him, if just two Republican representatives vote against him, assuming, of course, 434 members vote and no Democrats vote for Johnson, which is what we expect, if just two Republicans vote against him, he doesn't win the speakership. How about scenario two? If one votes against him and then two abstain, i.e. vote present, then that too would deny Johnson the speakership. Look, we're dealing with a historically narrow majority, the narrowest going into a speaker's vote this early in the Congress since 1917. And
Wow.
the bottom line is the math is just so tight. Just a few Republicans can throw this entire situation into gosh darn chaos.
All right. We saw 15 votes, I think, to get the former speaker in place. He kept losing, and finally won. Where do we stand right now with what we know where the GOP members are?
Yeah, and keep in mind, the math here is turning every few minutes, so stay tuned on this. I actually took a slide out because I wasn't so confident in the math, but I am confident on this particular slide. Some Republicans who may not vote for Johnson, well, Thomas Massie of Kentucky, he is, as I said, we were going to say hell no a lot in this segment. He is a hell no on voting for Johnson, at least on that first ballot. How about serious qualms? Remember, then we just need either one more Republican to vote against or two to vote president, that is abstain. And look at this, Chip Roy of Texas.
Chip Roy.
And then, of course, Victoria Spartz of the great state of Indiana. And keep
Not
in
familiar with her.
mind, both of these folks didn't vote for Kevin McCarthy. You mentioned that 15-vote thing. They didn't vote for Kevin McCarthy on 5 or more ballots in January of 2023. So the idea that these two would throw the speakership race into a complete mess, well, there's some real history of that going on here. So both of these are definitely in play. But Thomas Massie at this point is the quote-unquote hell no, and that's probably going to be the last time I use the word hell, at least in this segment, though we'll see.
Why, thank you, Harry. It's only the third. We can't say it more than 3 times. I do want to mention the reason why we know is because they have been public about it. There are some Republicans who have not been so public about it, but privately talking about it. So what is the chance we end up Johnson wins on the first ballot?
Yeah, exactly right. And as you pointed out, there are others, at least on the first ballot, who may not vote for Johnson. These are just the ones publicly that we know. Now, here's the thing to keep in mind. This is the chance that Mike Johnson wins the speakership, and this is per an average of the betting markets. On the first ballot, it's 35%. So that's south of 50, right? Although, you know,
I'm not too sure. I don't think he's going to win the first ballot at all. I don't think he will. Maybe the second.
Really wouldn't be surprising. 1 in 3 things happen all the time. But here's the key thing. Just because he loses on the first ballot doesn't mean he won't win on the second ballot, third ballot, fourth ballot, etc. At some point that Johnson wins, it's 90%. Now, again, that's not 100%, but it's far more likely than not. So just because if Johnson loses on the first ballot, it doesn't mean that he won't eventually get it. At this point, that seems like the most likely possibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there you have it. I don't really trust Johnson to from all evidence that I've seen the last couple of years he's been in there. I don't trust him to be pushing Trump's agenda, the America First agenda. I just don't trust him, even if he has support from Donald Trump, which I think that the support is just 3D chess, 4D chess that Trump is playing. But Republican Kentucky Rep Thomas Massey has vowed to vote against Johnson in the upcoming speaker vote, which would threaten the speaker's chances of reelection. Republican reps Victoria Sparks of Indiana and Chip Roy of Texas have further expressed serious concerns about Johnson's speakership. Johnson has a 35% chance of winning the speakership on the first ballot and a 90% chance of earning his position at some point throughout the voting process, Enten said. Massey has been fiercely critical of Johnson for working with House Democrats on a massive spending bill right before the Christmas recess. It was a ridiculous bill. I did a video on it. He notably voted in support of Republican Georgia Rep. Marjorie Taylor Greene's motion to vacate Johnson in April, which congressional members rejected in a 359-43 vote. Our I'm so sick of these. I'm so sick of these feckless rhinos, man. But no other Republican lawmaker has publicly announced their plan to challenge Johnson for speakership. We'll see. We'll see what will happen. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about this. Do you think Johnson is going to end up taking the gavel? Leave your comments down below. Like, share, subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.